Guess who's back? Back again. JJ's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? 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 To ruin Star Wars, J.J. Abrams is back, people. Yes, he is going to finish this mediocre trilogy. Yes, we're bringing back J.J. Abrams, who has single-handedly ruined Star Wars. I am so excited. Aren't you? Aren't you excited that this person is back to finish off this so-called great trilogy that is every movie that's come out so far? Force Awakens, Rogue One. Everybody's saying, oh my God, it's better than Empire Strikes Back, which we all know is bullshit. So if you haven't heard, or you haven't heard from my rants thus far, J.J. Abrams is back to write and direct Star Wars Episode 9. So if you guys haven't heard, the original director, Colin Trevorrow, was, in the lack of a better word, he was fired. He was fired, but, there would be it was a mutual agreement that it was best to part ways. But we know that's just another word for them to say that, hey, you're fired. They didn't want him. Because obviously they were saying that Trevorrow was difficult to work with. Then there was the thing with the Book of Henry thing where, there was bad reviews coming out about the movie from people that watched the film and critical. And I personally feel that might have something to do with it. Maybe. But I felt like because he has directed Jurassic World, and that movie made over $1 billion and so dollars, plus plus with the toys and everything else that goes into account, that would usurp it, right? You're like, yeah, that didn't work out with that. But with Jurassic World, that should have been a done deal. It's like, hey, you made your billions of money, which is what you want. So obviously to work with Star Wars. But I think what happened was, because he directed Jurassic World, and yeah, the movie was whatever, it did hit on nostalgia, which is what you would think that, obviously going with this new Star Wars movies, this is what they would do. But I think personally, Colin Trevorrow was like, hey, look, I did what I was supposed to do for Jurassic World. I played it safe. Let's go into a whole different direction with Episode 9. JJ did what he needed to do with Episode 7. It was a safe film to get these other 40, 50-year-old men back into the movie theater. That was what that was about. Kathleen Kennedy, you said that you wanted to go bring in some new talent, bring in some new original ideas, all this blah, 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 blah. But now it's more evident that it's not true. And as I said before in a video before, I was told by a concept artist, well-known concept artist, 2 years ago, before the movie came out. He told me, Blaine, it's the same shit. He didn't say it like that, but he told me it's the same thing. I'm working on all of them. I'm working on everything they got. He ain't lying. He's doing the movies. He's doing they're publishing books and stuff. He's a well-known artist. He's done stuff with Lucas before. He told me flat out this is what the deal was. He told me that Episode 7 was the worst movie experience he has had on a film. That's sad. Episode 7 was the worst experience he had. He worked with Lucas before, and he said when you're working with Lucas, you know that you're doing something for him. He's right there with you. You know that, hey, once he gives you the go-ahead, it's canon. With this one, when Lucas is gone, it's more corporate, and he says you can really, really tell that atmosphere is just gone. And I really felt bad that happened, but I shouldn't be surprised because I was told a few years ago that this was the case. And because they brought this man, J.J. Abrams, back upon this movie, shows me what we're dealing with. Which shows me that Episode 6 might just be this. Episode 9 is going to be Episode 6. Which tells me, how they were doing for Episode 7, how they were promoting practical effects, all that stuff that you wanted to hear. It was the total opposite. There's nothing daring about the film. Everything was it was nostalgic, safe. It was the seventh movie was pretty much all the other three films combined. 4, 5, and 6. That's what it was. Now here we are at episode 8 with Rian Johnson, who we're all hearing the things that we kind of want to hear. It's dark, it's different, it's gonna be trippy shit. And that might be in there, but I bet you, and this kind of confirms it to me, episode 8 is episode 5. Just with a twist. Whatever that may be. I have my theories upon it. I already talked about it before, whether it be on my channel or the BNN channel. But I have talked about it before. How they're saying that Rey obviously could be a Kenobi, or she is the reincarnation of Anakin Skywalker. Pick your poison. It's whatever. Hell, she might be both. I don't know. They'll do some shit. But because they brought back a J.J. Abrams, which a lot of folks are realizing now, when episode 7 came out, that, he was not really, he was safe. Episode 7 wasn't all that. We were all caught up on the hype. This should confirm to everybody, if they're getting him back for episode 9, and we have a feeling it's going to be like episode 6, then that should tell you episode 8 is is episode 5. Because you have to think about it. If episode 8 is very different, look, episode 7 was safe. It was 4, 5, and 6 combined, right? But if episode 8 is different as they said it is, like totally different with just super trippy and stuff, that film is going to stand out and not in a good way. Like, the film might be good, but if you're trying to marry 7, 8, and 9 as this one, piece that sings together, it's not going to work. If episode 8 is all what they're saying it is, and it lives up to that, talk is cheap, but talk is cheap. Well, if you walk that walk, and it is what they say that it is, then episode 8 is going to stand out. It's like, man, this is a really good piece of film. And if you go do episode 9, and if it's just like what Abrams did with episode 7, this trilogy will be mediocre as it already is. And it just technically started. This franchise just came back in 2015, and folks are already tired of Star Wars. Already, folks are tired of Star Wars. So, let me get to the official arc. But it's no big deal. I mean, it's pretty much just talking about, it's on StarWars.com. J.J. Abrams, who launched a new era of Star Wars with The Force Awakens in 2015, is returning to complete the sequel trilogy as writer and director of Star Wars Episode 9. Abrams will co-write the film with Chris Terrio, and that's Chris Terrio. I want to say he did some stuff for Fast and Furious. I can't remember right now. I have to look it up. Star Wars Episode 9 will be produced by Kathleen Kennedy, Michelle Ridgwin, Abrams, Bad Robot, Lucasfilm. With The Force Awakens, JJ delivered everything we could have possibly hoped for, and I am so excited that he is coming back to close out this trilogy, said Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy. Of course, you will be happy with him. Force Awakens did do everything they wanted and made them a bunch of money, but because it made them a whole bunch of money, that doesn't mean that it is a great film. It was a great commercial film. It was a great film to sell toys and things of that nature. It wasn't a great piece of film that folks will, cherish for the rest of their lives. Maybe. I don't know. But I think once folks, You have to put things in context. You have to understand the history of all these things. And it goes all the way back towards Lucas, where we're up to now. Regardless of what folks say about the prequels, I like the prequels. Hell, I love them. And the more that I watch them, the more I understand them. Because once you start to understand mythology, Shakespeare, politics, things of that nature, you can realize that the prequels have so many different layers that the originals never did have. Not at the level that the prequels did. Lucas put a lot of love into those films, unlike this shit that we're coming out with now. Straight garbage. I don't care what Abrams said. He directed a film as a fan and not as a storyteller. Garrett Edwards, I think he was coming from a storytelling moment. Like, you could see some nostalgic stuff in Rogue One, but they put a leash on him because that film was originally supposed to be dark. It was supposed to be a real dark film. But they muzzled him, and he had to, obey what Kathleen Kennedy had to say. Rian Johnson, from what we're hearing, he's doing his own thing. So we're hearing. I personally think that there's good PR around that film. They have it on locked. I haven't heard anything really bad happening with episode 8. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. You're just not hearing about it. With Colin Trevorrow, we have been hearing issues. He wrote the script. They didn't like it. They brought in a new writer. Then he's gone. That raised a red flag for a whole bunch of people, myself included. And it's like, then the Book of Henry stuff started. Then there's all these other talks going on. I think personally, these new directors, these young new directors that they're bringing upon, which is Kathleen Kennedy and all these other producers' fault, not just with Star Wars, but any of these films, they start off doing these indie films where they are independent films. That's what they do. You want to bring them in so they can bring in their original ideas, original thoughts, their original way of doing things. You bring them not so they could do that. You would think they would, but they don't. They bring them in there so they can control them, to obey them to their will. Not because they're a great talent. And I think that's what happened with Colin Trevorrow. I think he brought in some new stuff. Kathleen Kennedy didn't like it, and he fought for his vision, and they got rid of him. Same thing for Lord and Miller, which was Arthur Kennedy's and what's his name fault that wrote Empire. You brought in these directors. You knew what Lord and Miller could do. You knew what they were about. So that was bad on you to begin with. Like, I'll probably talk about this in another video about these up and coming new directors and working in these old Hollywood studio systems, etc. But the news here today is J.J. Abrams is back. I personally don't like it. I know a whole bunch of other folks don't like it at all, because Abrams said he was done. Obviously, that's a lie. He's back. I'm pretty sure Kathleen Kennedy must have paid him out the wazoo for this. He must be getting millions and millions of dollars. Because I think Abrams, if he had any dignity whatsoever, he would have said Kathy, whatever he calls her. I did what I was supposed to do. I'm done. I don't want back on this rodeo anymore. I'm good. I want to go work on these other things I want to do. I'm good. But this is J.J. Abrams' track record. Once he directs or produces something, he always has a piggyback on a franchise that's already been done. He never really does anything on his own. He's a good producer. Don't get it twisted. And I think that's all he really is. A director, not a director, storyteller, no. Not really. Nah, he likes nostalgia. He likes to piggyback, retool, reboot these type of franchises. And that's just what he is. And episode 9 is going to be episode 6. So if you've seen episode 6, you know how episode 9 is going to turn out. And talk is for episode 8, there's a whole nother damn Death Star. So it's like this franchise is dead to me at this point, especially with Abrams is back. I don't even know if I want to see episode 8 at this point. I don't really care for the Han Solo movie. I am interested though into the Obi-Wan film, but I think they'll make a trilogy out of that, and I can talk about that at a later date. But yeah, I think I'm done. I'm gonna stick with the first 6. I know the politics that's going on with these films. If for folks that think they're going to do something new and original with these big blockbuster films, they're not. I'm reading a book right now called deals with the VFX industry, and it talks about these films called tentpole films. It pretty much is they look like blockbusters and they're made like blockbusters, but they're family friendly. And they are safe because they need to bring in the family so they can make money for the merchandise and all those type of things. They're never going to go to that next level like Transformers. They want to bring in the family. Even though Transformers has that Michael Bay-esque, that Bayness in there, absolutely. But to some extent, you can even tell that's safe. They want to bring in the family for all that type of stuff as well. So yeah, I'm not excited for this news at all. I think that this is terrible. It just shows that this franchise is going down the toilet. It's done. And I'll probably do another video on it. If you realize all these new directors, minus probably Rian Johnson, I'm talking about the directors now, they all have some connections with Kennedy and Spielberg. I shit you not. They all have some background with Spielberg. Don't get it twisted. Spielberg is telling stuff in Kennedy's ears. And I'm pretty sure Spielberg is telling Abrams some stuff too. Spielberg is still doing stuff with the Star Wars stuff. Lucas, maybe not so much. They got rid of him. But yeah, that's where we're at. This is terrible news, depending who you are. But I even think, because if episode 8, I'm telling you, if episode 8 is anything super duper different, and it stands out in a good way for us, the people, but in a bad way for them to connect everything, it's like 7 is like whatever. Episode 8 is like, oh my god, it's so good. Then you go back down to 9, and it's like, ooh, that's bad. And I think that's what's gonna happen. Unless episode 8 is in fact in episode 5. And then you're just gonna have a stupid mediocre trilogy. And I think that I think this is a lesson learned for you, the fans. You ask for this type of stuff, and this is what you get. You've been bitching about this stuff from 2005 to 2015, and this is what you get. You deserve it. You deserve it. This is what you get. Lucas is gone, unfortunately. I would love to see what his original treatments were. Hopefully they become a book or whatever. But I blame you. I blame you, the fans. This is your problem. This is your fault. You ran a man away from his franchise, and this is what you get. Shout out to Disney, though, for making that money. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. I knew what time it was when Disney bought them. I'm not really surprised, but this is what you get. So, yeah. Nothing much I can say about this until some more news pops up, maybe. Or if I just make a whole nother video or something else pops up in my mind. But, yeah, that's it. But, what else? Oh, I do want to say that I know I've been saying it for a while. I'm still working on the latest podcast video that me, Keith, and Joseph recorded with Francois. I still have to go through the editing and put up the videos and whatnot, or pictures to match up with what we're saying, so you guys can see what we're talking about. Everything's 2 hours long, so it's gonna be a minute, you guys. But I am gonna be working on it, and the goal is to have it out for you guys by the end of the week. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, this is all I have for you guys right now. Click that like button, share this video, spread the word out, and let folks know about the BNN podcast channel. We're in the mix to getting some new stuff going on and retool some things with the channel. So it should be really dope. But yeah, this is terrible news. So until next time, y'all, peace.